Good evening and welcome to the Magpie Circle live YouTube and Twitter show. Les Brad, all-time leading goal scorer. Delighted to have you with us again, Les. It's busy on and off the pitch. Certainly a lot to get through this evening, that is for sure. We'll be having a little bit of a look back on Saturday. I think shorter the better for that one. And then really now it's full steam ahead on the league season between now and the end of the season, starting with Tuesday night's game against Aldershot. As always, this is your show. You dictate what we discuss. So please fire in those questions and observations on the live feed. And for those of you who haven't already subscribed on our YouTube channel, entirely free, helps you have a better experience. There's a little red button in one of these corners somewhere. Just press that. Okay, that's the housekeeping done. Leslie, well, I guess like the rest of us, you found it quite hard to believe what actually unfolded on Saturday. We've all had 48 hours. I've been watching Ian's interview today, been also watching Michael Doyle. 2 days on, we're not going to Wembley, at least in the FA Trophy. What did you make of it all, Les?
It was strange building up to the game. You know, I was trying to think of what the new manager or head coach coming in would be doing to possibly change things or to improve the players. You know, we've just had a good result away from home, 2-0 down and get back and 2-2. And then you start to wonder, is he going to try and change the tactics? In the time that he had with players, he could only be talking to them and trying to instill a little bit more confidence. So I wasn't sure what I was going to see. So obviously, when I saw the team, it's you know, it's a team that we're probably all familiar with, not too many changes. And the game started, and I thought we were on it. The tempo was good. The passing, particularly at the back, was crisp, and it was on the front foot. We weren't dead when we were getting it. We were moving forward, and I thought we created all sorts of problems to Hornchurch. You know, Kyle scores early on. There was another couple of chances. The keeper made a good save. I'm thinking to myself, you know, we're going to be 3 up at half time, but it wasn't the case, was it? And I can't remember who it was now, got caught in possession, probably 35 yards from our goal. They pinched it, and the lad runs forward, squares it. It's in the back of the net. And that's 1-1. Or was that the second goal? The other one was a shot that was going 3 or 4 yards wide. It hits Connell and goes in the corner. Well, sometimes that happened. But they haven't really created much, and they scored 2 goals. So I'm thinking half time, you know, we'll come out and we'll get into this and probably win 4-5-2. That was my feeling. But they stepped up a bit. They put pressure on us, and we were struggling to cope a little. You know, when teams push up on us and play high, we tend to get caught with the ball a bit. But I thought we did get back in it. We got the goal, and Elijah came on. He stuck it in. You're thinking that's it now, all over. Do we need another goal? I don't know. And then, you know, you come into time added on, was it? And you know, we had the ball. Can't remember who it was now. Went and tried to do something alien, dribble with it, gets caught out into our box, and there you go, 3-3. And then anything can happen on penalties, can't it? So, yeah, disappointment for them, really.
I mean, one of the things that surprised me most, Les, was that sometimes it can be difficult breaking a lower league team down. They're hanging on. They've got something to hang on to. We were in front 3 times in that match, and 3 times they've come back, which would concern, clearly the result concerns everyone, but it would concern me a little bit that having almost done the hard bit of getting your noses in front against lower league opposition, they don't normally come back from that.
No, you've got to commend the manager. He's obviously you know, they've done well. They beat, was it Kings Lynn last round? So they've had a good run in this cup to get to where they were. They weren't going to go away in the semi-final with a chance going to Wembley without leaving anything back at Meadow Lane. So the least you can say is that they're going to give it everything, and they did that. And unfortunately, on the day, we made a few errors and allowed them to get into the game 3 times. I don't think they got back in the game through their, shall we say, their attacking options and cutting us open. I think it was our problems that caused it all.
James Spring says, and please keep your comments coming in. Saturday was the first time since relegation I felt angry. The defensive stability we've built on has gone. All 3 goals from us giving it away under little pressure. Biggest embarrassment in 159 years. I think clearly a lot of fans, Les, feel quite emotional about it, particularly I think the younger age group, because they've never been to Wembley before. In terms of the context of this season, it's Ian's first game. How big a blow do you think this is to the club, to the fan base, to Ian and his players?
We'll see that tomorrow night. As I say, I do think it was a difficult game for the incoming head coach, for the players. The players will have had a lot of respect for Neil Ardley, you know, who's coached them and brought a lot of success, won a lot of matches. And it's been a difficult season, you know, with no crowds in there to roar them on at home. Teams are coming to Meadow Lane and going, wow, this is a lot different than, a lot better than where we normally play. And, you know, it's helping them to raise the game. We're out there without any crowds cheering us on. And it must be difficult. It must be difficult. But they have to be above that. And it was tough for them. As I say, Neil's gone, new man's coming in, they're wondering what's happening. And so my feelings are that's gone now. It's gone. We regroup, we start again tomorrow night. Big game against Aldershot. Let's get out there and win it.
And we'll focus on Aldershot very shortly. But I kind of just want to put to bed, if you like, Saturday, and from the messages that are coming in, you know, clearly people still feel quite strongly. Keldsnike says, I'm fairly sure if Neil Ardley had been in charge, we wouldn't have lost that. There seems no push on the manager's part to back our promotion push. We won't have a better chance. And 2 questions that focus kind of on midfield. PJ Defiant says, I really hope the manager changes the midfield on Tuesday. If he keeps the same pairing, then I genuinely think we will fall out of the playoffs and another season or 2 in the National League. It looks like there's going to be a change automatically because of the injury to Doyle, although he did do the press conference today and said he has recovered quite significantly. And Noel Findor says, despite Doyle and co.'s supposed combative qualities, we're second in the fair play table. Do we need a proper enforcer in the middle to stop us being bullied and pressed so much? What do we think about the midfield? It seems to have sparked a huge amount of debate among Notts fans. Second in the fair play table, is that good or bad, Les? Would you prefer to see us further down, or do you want us to play it ethically and fairly?
Yeah, watching without being too disrespectful, referees at this level of football aren't as good as at the top, are they? So it can go either way on that. You get booked for doing something in nothing, and then you see a real bad one and they get away with it. So I don't look too deep into that. And you know, going into looking at the midfield for Saturday, we were okay first 20-25 minutes, you know, all over the pitch, and the problems came all over the pitch as well. You know, this holding on to the ball instead of passing it. And I think it's trying to put a show on for the new manager. Look what I can do, and that's gone. So I don't look into that too deeply, and collectively those players have got to come out, and they'll be hurting just like the fans are hurting. Don't make any mistake about that. Yeah, I've seen stuff on the social media about players don't care. Players care. They care badly, and they will have hurt after that game on Saturday, very much so. But as I say, it's the first game as a new manager come in. He's only had 1 day with them or 2 days with them. No real time to go about changing things, and it's very, very difficult. And you know, if we can get back to how we played that first 20 minutes tomorrow night and move on from there, then I think we'll be okay. But sorry.
No. Dale Pikett writes in, the players really need to take a good look at themselves. Yes, I've seen knots at Wembley, but I do feel sorry for the younger fans who have never been to Wembley, and I think quite a few people have mentioned that. And personally, I feel very sorry for them as well. We had some of those on in our like our fan show on Saturday morning, and clearly it was a big day for probably anyone under 25, especially because of the opportunity potentially to go to Wembley to see Notts play there. Richard Hawksworth, at least the weaknesses have been exposed early. An easy win may have hidden the obvious weaknesses we have. Duncan Comrie, Saturday is done and gone. We're in a fantastic place in the table with games in hand. Let's regroup and kick on. And Ian Baggott, what's the most important thing that needs to be addressed in the short term? Now, listening to Ian Burchnall's press briefing today, he spoke about possession for possession's sake. And not being more direct. From what he's been saying, that would look to be an area that he will be seeking to work on and improve in our league matches, Les, yeah?
Absolutely. And that's basically what I was saying, that first 15, 20 minutes or so, we were getting it and we were passing it positively. We were on the front foot moving forward. As the game wore on, I felt we went back into a sort of what I would class as old habits, and happened quite a lot this year, where we're passing balls to people dead, stood there, and it allows the other team to come and close you down very quickly. If you're not careful, you lose the ball, and that's what happened. And it was happening all over the pitch, not just in midfield. It was happening at the back. It was happening in midfield. It was happening wide. And I think that's what Ian is referring to, that if we are going to play it short and keep possession wherever you're passing it, you've got to do it quickly and you've got to do it on the front foot.
Let's try and answer Ian Baggott's question, which was, what's the most important thing that needs to be addressed in the short term?
That's a difficult one. Over a lot of matches, we've had difficulty scoring goals. I thought that on Saturday, we probably put more balls into the box than I've seen for a long time. It's okay saying, well, you'd expect that against a team from a lower division, but I felt we were trying to get out wide, and we were trying to get balls in there. Some good balls that came in. So from that side, it was addressed throughout this season. I felt that we've looked very comfortable at the back. We don't look like conceding any goals. And on Saturday, we conceded 3 to a non-league team. The goals that we conceded were, without being disrespectful, they were sort of goals on a Sunday morning on the park, aren't they? The player gives it away and it goes and finishes in the back of your net. Those players will be very, very upset with themselves, and I hope that they've got together and they've cleared their heads. We got the new manager. We're going to move forward, and tomorrow we start with a clear head and we go forward.
Here's an interesting question from James Spring. Les, were you ever on the receiving end of a major cup shock as a player? Could it shatter what confidence the players have, or could it work as a sort of incentive, almost giving them a point to prove? Any big giant killing acts that you were on the wrong end of in your Notts days?
Absolutely. In the first year that I was at Notts, we were drawn against Runcorn away.
Oh yeah, that is a famous one, isn't it?
FA,
Yeah.
FA Cup first round. And the pitch, we shouldn't have played. It was frozen, ice frozen, dangerous, slippy. And it had a slope on it. And there was no way we should play, but we did play. And they went and scored a scrappy goal. I actually scored from inside the circle, the halfway line, and the ref gave it. I can't remember why he disallowed it, but we lost the game 1-0. And imagine walking into the dressing rooms to find that the bath was a communal shared bath. So we as players all had to get in that bath with the Runcorn team who had just won.
Really?
Yeah. So that was my initiation to cup football and defeat. But I will tell you that the following week the league fixture was Chester away. Billy Dearden was playing for Chester in those days. They were up near the top of the league, and we went there and beat them 3-1. So I'm just hoping that our lads are grouping together ready for tomorrow night, and they come back fighting and come out with a win. But no, that was as low as I ever got during my playing career. 1-0 defeat at Runcorn.
Who was in charge then?
Billy Gray.
And what was their reaction in the dressing room afterwards to you as a group of players?
Billy wasn't best happy. But yeah, that was when we got on the coach to go back. It couldn't be done in the dressing room. As I say, there was everybody was in there, but no, it was. There were difficult circumstances. As I say, the pitch was a leveler. It was rock hard, solid, ice over it, snow on it, ice underneath. Slipping, everybody was slipping around. It was, you just couldn't understand it being played, but it was. In those days, quite a lot of things like that happened. Muddy pitches, water on the pitches, snow on the pitches. It just went ahead, didn't it? And that was.
You played. Whatever. Good question from James Spring there. Richard Berry, who's fired a few in. Why are you using the old emblem? We haven't used this one since the 80s. You'll be referring to the single magpie. I've used it as my corporate sponsorship logo of the club. It's in our MAGPIE CIRCLE logo. It's not copyrighted. And the reason we would not use the new logo is that that is copyrighted by the club. So if that kind of answers your questions there. Personally, I do like the single magpie logo. Those of us of a certain age all do. So why not? Eh? I know one magpie for sorrow, two for joy, and all the rest of it. And clearly, it didn't bring us a lot of luck Saturday. But never mind. Never mind. What else have we got coming through? Jurgen Halligan, with Doyle out, who would you play in midfield? Malcolm Shearston, do you think that Knight will play some parts tomorrow night? Is this the sort of thing, Les, where you make changes, or you kind of give a similar group of players the opportunity to redress the balance?
You would, I feel that you want that same group of players to go out there and say, put it right again. If you're starting to make changes, as I say, there wasn't too many great performances all over the pitch. So if you're going to leave certain players out, there may be issues in there. It's a tough one. Write it off, in my view. Start again tomorrow night. And let's get back on the winning ways. Very, very difficult for the manager to try and change if he wants to change tactics and go a different style, that takes time. It takes time to work on. Players have to get familiar with it as well. So I can't really see that that's going to happen during the course of this season. I'm pretty sure that he will try and stick to something that they have been used to and probably comfortable playing. But I think the most important thing is getting the players' heads in the right frame of mind, because there was one or two for me that weren't quite. I'm not saying that they weren't trying, because I've never known any player not to go out and play in all my career. Every player that puts on that shirt, when he goes out there, he wants to do his best. Sometimes it doesn't work out because he's a bit clouded in what's going on in his head. You know, where am I supposed to be playing? Where am I supposed to run? What am I? You know, it's when it's not quite clear, you look at a yard slower. When you're on top of the game, when you're winning week in, week out, you're out there and you just, everything comes automatic. There's nothing going off in your head to think otherwise. You just go out and win the game. It was relating back to my time, you know, with the club with Jimmy Cyril's. Actually, it's 50 years since his first promotion, isn't it? And about this time, we were really on song, and we couldn't wait to get up that tunnel, whether it was at home or whether it was away. We felt we were going to win. We were so tuned in to what we had to do, and I just think that at this stage with some of our lads, that isn't quite there. And so the manager's big job is getting them all on the same wavelengths, same confidence to go out there and do it. And I think possibly Saturday they were trying a bit too hard to show how good they were, and it didn't work out.
Dean Collins says, I'd sooner hear about them two fantastic headers versus Everton, Les. We'll see if we could sneak that later on in the programme. Now, there have clearly been decisions taken by the National League, which has seen Dover deducted 12 points, fined 40 grand. That table, despite us not playing and others getting a few points on Saturday, actually looks a degree or two healthier now without us having played. And of course, Aldershot, we're one of only, is it 1 or 2 matches tomorrow evening? So we can make a real inroads, get some points, use one of those games in hand up. Before we talk Aldershot, what was your view on the 12-point deduction for Dover and the heavy fine, Les?
I'm a bit uncertain about the fine, but I believe the points deduction is absolutely spot on. That is, for me, the correct punishment. How many is probably arguable, but you know, to say that you're not going to fulfil your fixtures, then you start the game or start the season next year with a points deduction. That's enough for me. I don't know about the you know, they're saying that they packed up playing because of lack of funds. So where's the money coming from to pay the fine? No, I'm not sure about that. It just, the fine is possibly a little bit too much.
I mean, a deferred points deduction to start next season is something that we have spoken about quite extensively on this show. And I think what it does do, and it's exactly Richard Berry's point, right on cue, is that this sends a real deterrent out to any of the other teams between now and the end of the season, who quite legitimately lose 4 on the trot, fall out the playoffs. Why should we bother incurring more losses? And we'll just do what Dover did. So I think that there's an element here of deterrence by the league to protect the overall integrity of the league. And I think that's something I think we would all applaud, because I'll bet you, Les, that every single team in the National League now finishes this season even if they end up playing youth team players.
Yeah, there is something that concerns me, and then that is is it the chairman of Dover, who was a key member of the National League's board, and he resigned just shortly before he decided to do it. What do you think that was all about?
Well, I mean, I think the official line, Les, was that he felt his views of what he was going to do with Dover were incompatible with being a National League board member. And as such, if he was on the executive board, he could not honourably fulfil those two roles. He felt it was a conflict of interest. I think that's the official line anyway. Dale Pikett's just been on, and I've been reading some of this. The Dover chairman says he's not paying the fine and taking legal action against the National League. There is some talk or a campaign among the various clubs, not just in Dover's case, but in some of the National League North and South case, where they've been fined £2,000 or £4,000 to propose a vote of no confidence. I don't quite understand all the legal ramifications of that, but I think the deed is done, Les, and I think the integrity of the competition is now preserved for this season, which I think is kind of what the National League want to get finished in some way, shape or form.
Yeah, the points deduction for me was strong enough. I think probably the fine is a little bit heavy. That's it, isn't it?
Well, yeah, I mean, clearly Dover and those other clubs will be trying to ensure that's the end, that there's more to come. Whether they can get the fines, inverted commas, to a suspended perspective, pending further transgressions, which you would like to think would not be coming along. But I think the important thing was the National League made a clear and unequivocal decision that on the face of it protects the integrity of us finishing this season with all the clubs, with the exception of Dover, who have already taken their ball home. Now, when we look at the league table, and now we're moving on to tomorrow, the league table doesn't look too bad. It certainly looks a lot more healthy, with us having lost to Dover, one of only 3 teams to do so. Several teams above us who had beaten them. So we're in 6th. There's a gap of 2 points to the team in 8th, and we have 3 games in hand on Halifax, who are in 8th. We have a minimum of 3 games in hand over every other team above us. 3. And we have some sort of ridiculous number of, I think it's 6 games in hand on Hartlepool. If we win tomorrow, big if, we will go 4th in the table. Now, that's got to be the perfect antidote to Saturday, hasn't it? And what great incentive.
Massively. And that will certainly be the talk with the group of players today in training. They will be regrouping. The manager will be regrouping, filling them with confidence, and they're going to go out tomorrow night and they're going to win. And they're going to win the game professionally. You know, they're not going to allow. What was the timing of the 3rd goal that Hornchurch scored? You know, we were quiet. I didn't hear any players. There should be 11 captains, noisy captains out there screaming at every single player. Put it into, do whatever you want with it, but it doesn't go in our box in that last few minutes. And we allowed that to happen. So we've got to go out there tomorrow night with a positive nature. We've got enough talent to adequately stop opposition scoring goals. We've got talent to score goals, and we've got to get it together and move on. We are now, just a couple of months towards the end of the season. We should be really, really roaring, ready to go into this now and kick on. The players are perfectly able to do that. So that confidence, going to go out there tomorrow night, start on the front foot, just like they did Saturday, and keep that going for 90 minutes, and then we'll be okay.
I mean, it is amazing in the modern game, isn't it? You live day to day, game to game, hero to zero, zero to hero. But Ian has come into a situation where he is expected to get results straight away. You know, he's coming into a team that is in a playoff position, not a team that is fifth or sixth bottom. And the owners have clearly tried to spell out as best they are able, given the expectations of the supporters, that this is a long-term project, a 4-year agreement. Equally, it's difficult to have any length multi-year plan for Notts County while they are in the National League, because we will always chase promotion the season in which we're playing. That ultimately is the most important plan. How big a challenge do you think Ian, being a new manager, has in keeping this group of players that he has inherited in the playoff positions? Because that is kind of base level for this season, isn't it?
Well, that's why he's been brought in. This isn't just a an knee-jerk appointment. This guy has been watched, I would assume, and just like data on footballers, then I'm pretty sure that the owners have got the data on the manager as well and know what he's capable of, and that's the reason why he's come in. And he's come in with a long-term contract. It's not one just till the end of the season, although the owners fully realise that pre-season next year is going to be key in appointments in moving forward. But at the same time, they still want to get promotion this year. So the manager has his main job, I feel, isn't all about tactics. It's about getting those players that are there at the moment tuned in to the job that they've got to do to get us over that line. And it's not always about skill, as those lads at Hornchurch told you on Saturday. Sometimes it's about trying to beat the guy that's stopping you playing. You've got to impose whatever you've got to be better than him. And sometimes that comes from a physical side. I don't mean going out kicking them, but it could be pace. You frighten people to death. And that's what they've got to do. They've got to go out there and win battles. And well remembered Jimmy Searle, and he used to stand at the door before we went out of that dressing room every single match. He stopped every player and pointed the finger. Remember, you've got to win the battle. In my case, the centre half, I got to have him wondering where I was. I might come across him and head the ball, or going to get behind him and head the ball. So there was other space then for other players to run into. And I had to be doing a job in that penalty box, causing people to make mistakes in there and try and set up chances for others and score goals. And that's what they got to do. That's what the players have to do. They have got to be positive and win their challenge. And if you can come out on top of that, you've got a good side. And the side that goes and wins things.
Do you think there's enough in this squad that we should definitely be making the playoffs at the end of the season?
I said to you last week, I don't think we're as strong in the last third as we were last year. We had players last year besides Carl Wotton. There was Christian Dennis, Wes Thomas. You know what? They got 15 so goals apiece, didn't they? And we haven't replaced them with anybody yet, have we? I don't. You know, Sam's. I don't know how many goals he's scored, but he's not. It's only half as many as that.
Eli.
Yeah. Jimmy Knowles has come in. He's not started many games, has he? He's picked 1 or 2 goals up, but we've not had the regular player playing alongside Kyle. That's caused trouble to enough teams to score goals, and I think that's where we've missed out this year to last year. Let's just hope that we can find somebody that's going to be that person, somebody that this new coach can instill a mental process that they're going to go out there and score goals. They're going to out there and win matches for us. And then it's amazing how just little things can change the game and become more positive. So that's his big challenge, is to get 2 or 3% more from each single player in that team, and then get on the front foot in going into every game on the front foot. There's been too many games this season where we've not imposed ourselves early on, in my view, where we've had possession, we've kept the ball without looking a threat to scoring a goal. I'd like to see us go out there and try and put teams under pressure, so they know they're going to be in a game. That's what I was brought up with that team in the 70s. We went out there and we were on the front foot from the first whistle. Not always playing well, but we tried to combat that with mental attitude, and that's what winning football games is about. Sometimes you want to be able to go pass it all around the pitch and pick out players and for tap-ins and score 5 goals a game. It doesn't work out that way. Some games you have to win it ugly, and it means putting your head in there where it hurts sometimes, both to score a goal and to stop one as well. So yeah, that's the main thing for me, just to get them more tuned in mentally on the front foot.
26 games Notts have played, with the teams dropping out. By my reckoning, we've got 16 to play, and we're in 6th place. When you have a manager, you often talk about longer term plans, rebuilding, that kind of thing. And there has been some talk about long-term plan for Notts, need to rebuild, be stronger for next season, etc., etc. My personal view is there are 16 games to go. We're in the playoffs. The best chance Notts County have got of getting out the National League is this season, in these next 16 games. Some would say it's a rebuilding, it's not the end of the world if we don't make the playoffs, we're planning for the future, etc. What's your take on that debate?
I honestly think that last year at this time we were going to go up, we were going to win the league. I felt we were playing some lovely football, we were scoring goals. We got match winners with Roberts, Kyle Wotton, Christian Dennis. There's goals coming from everywhere, and you couldn't wish for anything better. So the lockdown pandemic definitely was a hindrance to ourselves. This season, I'm on about it again. I'm just not quite sure that we've had or the right players up front to go about it as we did last year, or was in that that run. I think the manager felt it was going to take time settling in and coming to the run in. Like last year, everything will be falling in place. It hasn't quite happened for me just yet, but that doesn't mean to say that it won't. I think we do need a couple of players just to strengthen the squad, put them on the front foot. If those players are available, I don't know. Because I haven't seen enough from the others to feel that we've got it there to go up at this moment. Last year I did, yes. This year we'll be thereabouts, but not quite guaranteed as I felt last year.
There's a bit of debate, as you would expect, on Paddy Madden, who Stockport have invested in on a 3-year contract. He's dropped down from League One. Noel Findor says that if a striker of Madden's quality was available, why couldn't we have competed for his signature with Stockport, considering how goal shy we are? Jurgen Halligan has replied, Paddy Madden cost Stockport a substantial fee. Will Ian be given any money if needed for a new striker? I think there are probably reportedly 3,500 reasons every week as to why Paddy Madden is at Stockport, and they have clearly decided to put several eggs in a basket for him. Robert Holland says Eli Sam has scored 7 goals. That's right, he has, but has been in and out of the team. Why he didn't even get off the bench after his brace against Oxford baffles me. With a good run, perhaps he can get 15 plus goals. Chris B says, on Dennis, do you think he left for more money or because Neil was always averse to playing him? Let's pick up on Eli Sam. Bit of an enigma. First time in English football. Puskas goal contender. His strike record is, I think, is something like 7 in 17. So if you're looking at it from a statistical basis, that's decent. What's your take on Eli, Les?
Well, I try to think about him coming into the squad. Was he brought in to play that main role up front with Kyle Wotton to share the responsibilities and not play together as a two? Because most of the games I've seen him play, he's played sort of in a wideish left side, and that is with a guy 6'4", 5", a bit strange to me. But he has scored some good goals coming down that side of the pitch, cutting in, shooting. So, but I just don't see that as a natural position for him. Yeah, when he scores a goal, it's a worldie, isn't it? When you sort of look back through the season, the goals that we've scored must be all goal of the season contenders. We know we don't score any scrappy goals. We don't. There's very few balls taken in, cut back, and a little tap in. Saturday was probably the first game that I've seen, cross into the back of the net. That's probably the first game that I've seen goals of that nature. You go back before that, the away game at Yeovil, Enzio sticking one from 20 odd yards up into the top corner. The one before that at home, Reeves is hitting a free kick from 25 yards in the top corner, and on the go, isn't it? Like you say, Sam, the back kick against Oxford for Pushka's goal this season. There's been some great goals, but not enough of the other type of goals. And if you look, as I say, if you look at how many games have we played this season? Well, we haven't scored a goal, and I think that's the key miss that we haven't had. one more goal in several games would have made a massive difference to us being at the top of the league.
Here's some for you. Not Joe Johnson. Notts have only lost one game away all season, ironically at Aldershot in the league, yet we have lost 5 at home. Do you put that down to no fans at matches?
Oh, it's a major factor. Teams will be coming to Meadow Lane. They'll come out onto the pitch, they'll look round, and they'll raise their game because of it. That's a certainty. We are coming out onto that pitch and having no crowd. I spoke to several players because I never played under conditions like this, and asked them what it's like, and they said it's horrible. They've had situations where they've scored a goal and they don't even know if it's a goal because there's no noise. They think there's a referee blow and there's been a free kick, and I feel for them. It must be so difficult. So playing at Meadow Lane, I think, has become an advantage for the team that's coming up to play, as opposed to our lads. So it's been a major factor for me. No crowd in there this season.
And I don't know whether in the light of that, I don't know whether it's good or bad. Jurgen Halligan says we've got a hell of a run in with 10 away games, including Hartlepool, Torquay, Wrexham, and Bromley. There's quite a lot of games in and around other teams in the playoffs, isn't it? I mean, we've got 2 to play against Wrexham, I think. There is still a lot to play that will be tough competitive games. And I guess I understand where Ian is coming from. I do actually think, given we're going into Easter, tomorrow is important just to get some form of result. Because we have lost a lot of games at home and haven't played particularly well at home in quite a few games over the past 2 to 3 months, Les.
Yeah, we went on was it Hartlepool at Christmas? I was at Meadow Lane watching that game, and although we didn't play particularly well, we shouldn't have lost that game. We missed a few chances, certainly in the second half, before I think it was Ben who got sent off. But no, it's there are a lot of points still to play for, but it's important that we need more of a togetherness. We need more captains. I want to hear them. I want to hear noise out there, getting onto one another. Michael Doyle always does that. He's always shouting. He's always onto the players. I'm thinking about when we had success. You know, we had captains all over the pitch. You know, you go back not too long ago, you was talking about Neil Bishop. How many captains are in that team? Ricky Ravenhill, and it's important that you need so many keeping you on your game. Not everybody can play well, but with a little G up or rollicking, whichever is applicable, it gives them a lift. When I worked at Forest, John McGovern wasn't a light player. The fans called him, didn't think he was worth being picked in the team. Trevor Francis told me that McGovern was the best captain that he ever played for. He had the knack of lifting players, you know, when it wasn't going right, players that he had to put his arm round and love. And then there was those that he had to, but he knew how to do it with every single player to get them lifted, because he didn't always play well. And I experienced that, you know, with Don Masson. He could be nasty, but he also knew how to deal with players, and that is key. in all of this to me, getting the group on the same wavelength. And you have to give credit to Hornchurch on Saturday, because they all worked the socks off for each other. None had any, you never saw a player on there with outstanding ability. I didn't anyway. But they worked hard for each other to get a result. And that's what you have to do if you want to win things. If you want to win promotion, we want to get in them playoffs or win the league, whatever it is. It's more than just ability.
Jurgen's been thumbing through the stats books, and in answer to your query earlier, Les, 8 league games failed to score, including Dover. So I guess technically it's 7 now. And anyway, and I think Joe's earlier comment, which is now sparking a bit of debate, Notts have only lost 1 game away all season, brackets Aldershot. Someone I think was pointing out what about Dover? But of course, as Richard Berry points out, that result has now been expunged, so it is actually only 1. But I think we'd all agree, wouldn't we? Home form is going to hold the key between now and the end of the season, because that's where traditionally, if you don't pick points up, you're not ultimately going to qualify for things. You know, we think back to Keith Curle, an entire calendar year without losing an away game. Yeah, we weren't in the, you know, we were halfway when he lost his job. You know, when you look at the results, pretty harshly, but there were a lot of draws at home. Noel Findor raises a point. I don't know if anyone knows the answer to this. Why don't Notts pump some crowd noise through their PA system on match days? Would they be allowed? Clearly, higher up the football echelons, it is allowed, because you know you can hear it. I've no idea. Do you know whether Notts can pump anything or not? It may well be a National League directive or not. I don't really know.
Don't think you're allowed to shout at players when they're going to take penalties. So
you know what? I was going to not bring that one up, because I thought, if you're Jake Keane, you've obviously had a mare. The manager's all hold you out, hasn't he, in his after-match presser. There's very little defence for it. You know, put it down to experience. I suspect he won't do it again. But yeah, I mean, I have to say, that wasn't great. That wasn't great.
But when the crowds are in there, they can do that, can't they?
Yeah, but they wouldn't hear them. Which is obviously why you do.
You might do if there's only 500 in there.
Yeah, well, yeah. But you know, it kind of backfired, didn't it? Because I'm sure the rest of those penalty takers out there and the Hornchurch coaching staff are saying, right, have you heard what the big club are trying to do to us here? You know, yeah. Make them pay.
So you've just mentioned, Paul, there that it's important that we win our home games. That there is going to be certainly one. I don't know whether it could be maybe 2 where crowds are going to be in the ground to help with that. I'm not quite sure when it will be or how the club are going to deal with that, but that's, if we can pick up some points, then I don't know, you know, when that's going to kick off, but that will be a massive, big difference at the end of the season with the home fans in there.
Well, you know what, as well, another reason for getting in the playoffs, isn't it? Because, you know, in the playoffs, we'll be all right. Crowds will be around, because our league season doesn't finish till something like May the 29th. If you're looking at the playoffs, you know, you're looking at 2 to 3 weeks in June. So there should be fans by then. And likewise, a trip to Wembley in a playoff, well, actually it wouldn't be Wembley. It's more likely to be a leading football, a Premier League ground, because I think Wembley gets hived off by UEFA, because they will kind of take that whole stadium over for the European Championships. So sorry to disappoint our younger generation even more. If we get to a playoff final, I understand that was more likely to be a Villa Park or wherever they would choose a ground, presumably suited geographically neutrally for the 2 teams in the competition. So that's unlikely to be Wembley anyway. Dale Pike, it's on the ball. May the 22nd against Weymouth, I think, is the first one when we can have fans back in. Clearly, it's been a horrible 48 hours Saturday with the exit. We're wrapping up now. But we all know what football is like, Les. You spoke about the exit that you made at Runcorn. The following week, you win. Normal service gets resumed very quickly. You know, we've got something like 4 games, 3 games in the next 7 days, whatever it is. I think it is very important tomorrow. I think it is very important. Ian clearly looks to be quite a technical coach. He looks to be a good communicator. I think we all desperately hope, and to be honest with you, I ain't bothered about the performance tomorrow, not in the slightest. I'll accept the scruffiest 1-0 imaginable, just to you go back up the table 4th, and and then people will be saying it's the highest place we've been in the playoff positions for 3.5 months, and all of this. And that's how the world is in football at the minute, isn't it? So I just really desperately hope we get over that finishing line tomorrow.
Yeah, and absolutely, and I'm sure that the players will be feeling that more than the fans. Following Saturday, they will have been as flat as you could imagine. I've not spoken to anybody down at the club, so I don't know whether they came in Sunday morning or whether they're back today.
Back today, that you were saying earlier.
All right, so they've come in today, clear the head, and they're working with a view to winning that game tomorrow night. And I can't wait to see them. I'm thinking that they will be right on the ball tomorrow night, and hopefully we don't make the mistakes that we did on Saturday. Because, as I say, I didn't think there was a lot wrong early in that game. Mistakes started coming in when we were getting the ball flat at our feet and we weren't moving it around quick enough. But we started the game, I think, really well on the front foot, and it looked like we'd go on and score a few goals. Let's do that tomorrow night and get amongst them, because they've had quite a journey, I would imagine, to travel up tomorrow. So and a long way back again. So they might not be in the best frame of mind, let's hope, to go and play a football match.
Let's hope so, Les. It's a positive way to finish on. I'm sure I will see you up and down the fairways at Ruddington Grange later this week. We're both out there this morning, weren't we? So that sort of helps us a little bit. Although the way I played was, I would have said marginally worse than the 11 men in black and white on Saturday. So it weren't a great round. So, but never mind. Bit of fresh air. Les, as always, club legend, club record goal scorer, Notts County through and through. Let's hope we can all see some form of normal service resumed tomorrow. And what better way, if we win tomorrow, we're 4th in the table. Leslie, thank you very much indeed.
And thank you, Paul. Thank you.